Hi, and thank you for inviting me to present to you my story. My name is Rachel Nesmith. I'm from a suburb south of Dallas called Duncanville, Texas. I grew up with my mom and dad and little sister Katie. We had lots of pets. My favorites were Oreo, the dog, had like the Oreo cookie, and Elwood, my cat, who was great. I wanted to become a psychologist and at one point I wanted to be a physical therapist, but when I went to college, I decided to go to Texas Women's University and major in psychology. When 9/11 happened, I was at Texas Women's University. 2 nights after 9/11 happened, my bedroom was transformed into ground zero of World War III. I felt the pain and the heat of bombs. My family, I could see and get me up, trying to run to shelter. And this started happening every night, almost all night. It was a huge problem for me, and I knew something was really wrong. Another time that a similar experience occurred where there was this dead rat crawling up my left leg, and he's scratching. I could feel him crawling up my leg. He was white, black, marble specks, and I thought he was suffering. So when I got out of my bed, I was looking all over, shaking the covers. I couldn't find the rat anywhere. And this started happening every night. I started to have funny feelings when one day my ex-husband made me laugh, and I felt my knees buckle in the kitchen, and I'm like, whoa, what was that? And 2 weeks later, he said something, we were arguing, and I said something really, really snarky, and I thought it was on an awesome cut down, and I felt my knees give out again, and I was like, whoa. And things got worse as things progressed. I want to say it was the middle of October that my ex-husband made me. I thought something was hilarious that he pointed out in the grocery store, and I just crumbled completely to the ground instantly. It looked like he had drop-kicked me to the floor, and everybody was looking, giving him this look like he had just hit me to the floor, and there was no explaining. After I was finally able to get up after about 2 minutes, there's no explaining it. They didn't want to hear it. And it was very hard on our relationship. One time when I was with my mom and dad, sister, grandma, and grandpa, and brother-in-law, we were all at my grandma and grandpa Nesmith, and I'm funny. I used to like teasing my brother-in-law, and I just like crumbled to the ground, and I was in that state of being completely conscious but paralyzed. I was unable to open my eyes, but I could hear everything going on. It was really weird feeling. And my dad didn't believe me that I had told him previously that I was conscious, that I could hear everything. And he said, Rachel, Rachel? The secret word is pomegranate. And when I finally came to, I was like, Dad, the secret word is forbidden food. And I fell to the ground again. Okay. I was starting to have a lot of problems in class with taking notes. All of a sudden, philosophy started showing up, and my grocery list started showing up in my experimental psychology notes. I had to start bringing a tape recorder to class regularly. I knew there was something really wrong. My grandmother had suggested that she had seen online that I could have, it's kind of like the disorder narcolepsy. And I was like, no, that's a sleeping disorder. This is all this weird stuff. So I know, she told my mom it's like all the culmination of all the other symptoms belong to narcolepsy. I was like, whoa. I looked it up and I was like, yes, it's definitely what I have. I have narcolepsy. All the symptoms. I did go to a neurologist who ordered a sleep study, but it was delayed for two and a half months because my insurance excluded sleeping disorders. And as soon as I was switched to different insurance, and I did get my sleep studies, which I had the crumbling happen several times. I was diagnosed at the age of 22 with severe narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is a chronic neurological sleeping disorder that affects about 1 in 2,000 people. Less than half of us are diagnosed. You would think that it's just like falling asleep but it's really stuck somewhere between wakefulness and REM sleep at any given time. But its symptoms are not just like falling asleep, but there is the excessive daytime sleepiness, the naps. There's the cataplexy, which remember the laughter and anger. That would be the cataplexy, the crumbling to the ground and the pomegranate. And that's whenever you have an extreme emotion, your muscles lose all muscle tone because they're convinced that you're in REM sleep. Hypnagogic and hypnomyopic hallucinations are, remember the rat and the World War III in my bedroom? That's it, that's them. And they're your dreams intruding onto your wakeful world. Everything's in limbo. Sleep paralysis would be the reason why I could not move during these hypnagogic hallucinations, because again, the body thinks that I need to be paralyzed during REM sleep, but at the same time, my brain was completely awake and aware of my surroundings. And of course, as a result of this, disrupted nighttime sleep. Now, during my diagnosis, I did have the sleep study where you go in and you have the regular overnight study, get all Medusa'd up over your head, and the next day you don't go home. They do it's MSLT is the multiple sleep latency test, and it is a series of nap studies. You have to stay awake for 2 hours And every 2 hours, they make you go and lay down, try to sleep for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. And at that point, they'll come in and ask you if you dreamed. What was your dream about? And of course, they know if you fell asleep and how fast you fell asleep. They can read all that. They do this for a series of 5 nap cycles in order to diagnose narcolepsy. And depending on your scoring is whether or not you're diagnosed as having narcolepsy. I experienced severe cataplexy during my test, trying to stay awake desperately between exams. I fell down to the ground backwards and and I hit my head trying to stay awake, jogging in place. But I was glad to finally get diagnosed at 22, so I could go on to the next of getting treatment finally. The treatment comes for I take wake promoters or stimulants for daytime sleepiness, sedatives for nighttime sleep, consolidation of sleep, antidepressants for cataplexy, also the sleep paralysis and hypnagogic hallucinations, and scheduled, planned, or even for me spontaneous naps, wherever you can grab it. And they're coming out with newer things, and we're excited to see where that may lead to. My life with narcolepsy, my symptoms have improved since being on medication. It has been a lot of adjusting to in my past. I'm on a very high dosages of several of the medications, the sedatives for nighttime, and for the antidepressants, because I cannot sleep peacefully or feel much of any emotion without having the level of prescriptions that I'm on. And for that, I've been giving back a lot of my life to make it worth living. I still haven't been able to drive since 2003. Whenever I fight sleepiness, I get cataplexy, especially in my legs, and even treated, I kept on having trouble keeping my leg on the brake. Most people don't know a whole lot about narcolepsy, which, especially when I was in the hospitals, I even had ICU nurses laugh at me. It's important to educate them. I have a very supportive mom and dad, and my husband, and they put up with me. They understand a lot of what I go through is not my fault and causes significant suffering. So they do help me have a better quality of life. And I also do have a 3-year-old toddler, and yes, she keeps me busy. I believe in that the future belongs to the people who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And I try to take each day at a time. I try to focus on the positives of my life that have resulted from having narcolepsy. Like the amazing friends I've met from the Narcolepsy Network to online support groups. And remember MySpace? I'm sure some of you do. I was part of a great group called Open Your Eyes to Narcolepsy, and we drew a logo and everything. And have developed a great degree of empathy for other people's suffering. There have been times when a lot of us have had all different kinds of challenges as a result of not being able to stay awake. Well, I've been believe in raising awareness, and it's of narcolepsy and what it entails. There isn't enough of education and knowledge of knowing that narcolepsy is not just sleep attacks. As you can tell in my personal story, I did not have that connection. Why? Because in all of the Western culture media of movies like Deuce Bigelow, narcolepsy is these ridiculously sudden sleep attacks. And there are a lot of times that I do fall asleep really fast, especially being a mom. However, they don't always get it right with the sleep attacks. The other symptoms hardly ever get mentioned or as associated to narcolepsy, but there needs to be a connection built so that we can get people diagnosed faster. There are children now that are getting diagnosed sooner and sooner, and they're going to be much more able to succeed in life, go to college, and maybe get the Jack and Julie scholarship from Project Sleep, and we even have doctors, lawyers. There's no limit to what your future could hold. I would say with 50% of the people not yet diagnosed, that's a problem. People are walking around driving excessively sleepy. Maybe it's really dangerous for me to be untreated and laugh, or for the wind to blow the wrong direction. When I strongly believe in participating in the Narcolepsy Not Alone campaign, started by Julie Flygare and her organization Project Sleep. And Project Sleep is the organization she started that sponsors this program called Rising Voices of Narcolepsy. And Rising Voices of Narcolepsy is an initiative program very dear to Julie Flygare's heart, to encourage to train us with narcolepsy the proper way, and effectively share our stories, our life stories and experiences with narcolepsy effectively. I am sharing my story because I am not a throwaway person. I have a lot to offer for my future, trying to be the best person I can be, and I'm one of a kind. We all are. You never know what a person's going through just by looking at them. And I really believe in that there's nothing that is off limits. I want to open doors and broaden opportunities for all persons with disabilities. And I want to thank you for your time and listening to me today. And I'm here to answer any questions you want to come up and ask me, and I'll address them. Thank you.